Okay, so looking at this equation for compound interest, we've talked about two other types of exponential equations. The first one, you don't necessarily have to write this down, but the first one we talked about was y, and then we had a b to the power of x. Do you remember that one? And a was like the y-intercept or the initial amount, and b was that factor that we found we were multiplying. And if it was getting smaller, then we said it was multiplying like a half or a third or something like that. And if it was getting bigger, then that b was a whole number. Then on Thursday and Friday, we started talking about exponential growth and exponential decay over time. So our variables changed a little bit. Oh, now that I'm looking at this one, I might have to come and glance at it. Does anybody remember what the letters were that we used? The ABC ones? Principal? Oh, actually, I don't know. I guess I'll just put P because I can't remember. And then we had 1, and then we either had a plus or a minus. It depended on if it was exponential growth or exponential decay. And then we had the rate and we had the time. I think that was a P. I'm not remembering right now. So these are the two exponential equations that we've already been practicing with. This one is slightly different because here, do you remember it was always years? Like all the equations. We started making cheeseburgers in the year 2020. It's 2025. How much money would we make? But it was always a full year. Do you remember the wording on that? So-and-so had this many TikTok followers. How many will they have in 7 years? Always the time was whole entire years, right? On that blue worksheet, are you guys kind of remembering that? Okay. The thing that's different about these ones is compound interest. Sometimes they compound it. They give you your interest more than once a year. So there's different things that happen to your equation to take that into account. So if I say that I compound it monthly, how many times would that happen in a year? 12. I hope these are self-explanatory for you, but if not, please go ahead and let's fill these in. So if it says it compounds monthly, you're going to do it 12 times in that year. Who knows what quarterly, how many times, what if it says quarterly? 4. Or dividing quarters, like 4 quarters in a dollar, or 4 quarters in some type of a sports game. Who does quarters? Basketball? So again, hopefully that word means something outside of this, but that would be 4 times a year. What is semi-annually? It is 2. If it's semi-annually, it'd be twice. I'm trying to think when I've heard that term used. Semi-annual. Sometimes there's semi-annual meetings or conferences. Yeah. If you have a 504 and IEP, we will meet semi-annually. They'll meet 2 times a year to discuss it. And then every 2 months. How many would that be over a year? So hopefully most of these kind of make sense, or you can think of ways that you've heard of them in your life, so you don't have to memorize all those things, because this is a lot. Okay, Cody, will you read us what P stands for? That has been the same consistent thing throughout all of these equations. That is not changing. It might be called something different, A or P, but it's the same. It's the y-intercept. It's where you start. Maylee, will you read what R is? This is very similar to what we were doing here, where we were in the words. They usually call that increase or decrease by a percentage, and we're having to convert back and forth between decimals and percents. So I will leave this on the board. Make sure, though, that you're really memorizing how to go from one to the other. Carter, will you read what N is representing? This is N. On our equations from Thursday and Friday, it was always once a year. We didn't talk about that because it was just a given. After 10 years, after 12 years. So and when it asks for N, you're going to look at the wording and see which one it tells you, and that's how you'll fill that number in. Look back at the equation. Do you see where N is in the equation? Where do you see N in the equation, Ellie? Yes, we have a denominator. When I first started doing the answer key, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even look. I just ignored it. And I was like, why aren't my answers making sense? I was ignoring that. It also happens over here in the exponent. So the n happens twice. This is the new part of the equations. This is different than exponential growth and decay. So make sure you don't make my mistake. Don't ignore it. And then t is still the time in years, and they will let us know what that is. Okay, let's practice. If you don't have a calculator, you're going to want one. I should probably get my answer key. So let's try a few of these together. It depends on your calculator. If you push math, I don't know. Does yours have, let's see if yours has it.
No.
Does yours have, above the x, t, theta, n, does yours have two little green boxes? The x, t, theta, n, underneath the mode button? Okay, so you just push your green alpha, and then the x, t, theta, n, and you'll have your fraction boxes. Not all the calculators have that. Just the newer ones. Okay, Beth invests $7,286. That is called her principal. Your principal is the amount that you invest. So let's go ahead and write that down. That's her P. Any initial amount? Oh, I, is that what it was on the other one? Initial? Okay, we know we're going to have our parentheses. And these are all plus, because they're all growing. You wouldn't invest money to lose it. Okay, it's in a retirement account with a fixed annual interest rate. Please circle that. That's N. They're giving you a hint of what N is. I'm going to skip it for just a minute, though. It's of 5%. Please turn your 5% back into a decimal without looking at neighbors, without asking. You can look at the board if you need to, but see if you can get that back to a decimal before you look up here and see what mine is. Okay, hopefully you got that 0.05. So Ethan, what does it mean for N if it has an annual interest? Oh, that's not the part. I circled the wrong thing. They are compounded quarterly. That's what we wanted to circle. Compounded quarterly. Do you need a protein? You sure? Okay, love you. And then after 20 years. He has one this weekend. It's a separate one. Okay, back to you, Ethan. I'm going to pick on you again. What does it mean if it's compounded quarterly? What is N? Yes. If it uses the word quarterly, we decided that means it's dividing things up into fourths. So you put a 4 here, and you have the beginning of your exponent. It's not the whole exponent, though. Kimball, what is our T?
9 would be 20 years.
Yes. Yes. No, but you just need to make sure you multiply them, so however you want to show that. So I'm going to show your notes very broken apart. I think what Sawyer is saying is, can I go right and just put an 80 right there? And yes, you can. You can make that an 80. The one thing I would not do, so look up here for a sec. Oh, I can't even see it now. Don't add these together first. Don't push 1.05 divided by 4, right? Either type it in just like this. If you're going to type it in pieces, I don't know why you would do that, but if you're going to type it in pieces, you would do that first. Push enter. Then add the 1. Push enter. Then do the exponent. Press enter. And then do the times 7,000. So let's go to my calculator. You guys can get on yours. All right, 7,286. Start with that. Use the parentheses. If you've never used them before, they're right here above the 8 and 9. So give yourself an open parentheses. And like I said, we don't want to do 1 plus. We don't want to add them together quite yet. Do I have the fraction button? No. Nope. I don't even know how to do it on this one. I'll have to fiddle around with it for a sec. 7286 parentheses 1 plus. I thought it was that.
Don't you just press divide? Like
I'd have to do, let's see if that'll give it to me. There we go. Does anyone have a calculator like mine that doesn't have the green fraction button? Does anyone need me to show you how to get to that? Yes, order of operations, it should divide it for you first. I just wanted to make sure we do order of operations. Let me type it in and then I'll show you again, Elizabeth. So 0.05 divided by 4 to the power of 80. That's a lot of money, huh? So to get to my fraction, I push the math button, which is under the green one. So you'll push math. If you push your left arrow, it should take you to fraction. And this top one, n/d, will give you the numerator and denominator boxes. Some people have a shortcut. If you don't, that's how you can get to it. Okay, go write that in as your answer. The answer is 19,000. If it's talking about money, please round to the nearest 2 decimal places. Make it look like money. If it's people, it should not be rounded to 2 decimal places. It should be rounded to a whole number. All this should be money, though. Okay, let's talk about Amy. Any questions on that one? Did you guys all get it when you put, yeah? The 80. So 4 is the n, the number of times it compounds per year, and 20 is the number of years, t. So looking up here, there's an n in both of these spots, and n will be one of these numbers. It depends on what they tell you. Good question. All right, Amy invests $2,630 in a retirement account with a fixed annual interest rate of, please turn that into a decimal on your own. If you're going to make a mistake, it's probably going to be on something silly like putting that in as a decimal. It's going to compound monthly. And what is the balance in 15 years? So try to set up that equation before I do. And write it down before you start punching stuff in your calculator. Okay, it's on the board. If it's a percent and you need to go back to a decimal, you do the opposite of my directions. Do you see over there in the black? So you either move the decimal 2 to the left or you divide it by 100. So you're already kind of ready. Maybe divide by 100. That's your decimal. So if you can write that up there. Did you get it? Okay, type it in and see what you get. I can show you how. Make sure you write the fraction in though.
I can't. Well, this one, I think.
So you push alpha, and then this xt theta, and it'll go right to the fraction button. Just have a shortcut. Good. Your decimal wasn't right, though. What did you have for your decimal? 0.33. I think you moved your decimal the wrong way. So you move it 2 to the left. So it's going to look like that. Stephanie. Good. This is money, so you can leave 2 decimal places. Good. Yes, you just didn't round. You can round to 2 decimal places, so it looks like money. Get it? Oh, you're typing. You get it? Yes, good. Put your 1. So we're just copying this. You put your principal, put the 1, put a plus. What's the rate? Round to so it looks like money. Yes, can you turn it into a decimal? So I told you how to go from a decimal to a percentage. You can move it 2 to the right, or you can multiply by 100. We're going the other way. So you can divide by 100 or move the decimal 2 to the left, whichever way makes the most sense to you. Yes. This has to be n and t. Your exponent is n times t. All right, so I think most of you got to where you turned your percentage into a decimal. If it's compounded monthly, Maylee, what is the number that I use for n if it's compounded every single month? 12. So I need to put my n here, and it starts my exponent. I've got to have my n up there also. We're not just doing it once a year. Sometimes it's way more often than that. And one, what's the t in time? How many years is this asking us to do? Yes, where do I put that? By the 12. So you can just type all this into your calculator. So we would start this one with the 2,630. 1 plus. If you don't know how to make a fraction, you can probably use the divide. I just think this looks nice. So if you don't know how to do this, let me know. I can show you on your calculator. Oh, no. Got to start over again. 2,630. 1 plus. Math. This definitely is quite the process. Well, hopefully it's giving you, oops. How do I just delete one thing? Oh, there we go. To the power of, that's what I forgot to do last time. 12 times 15. Did I do it right? Okay, make sure you are able to do that on your calculator. Otherwise, you can just do it in little pieces. But it took me a minute to not make any mistakes typing it in even. And then you round, all this is money, so make it look like money. Round to the nearest cent. $3,729.02. If I round to the nearest decimal place, the 8 rounds this up to a 2. Okay, any questions? Is everyone able to get that on their calculator and the equation is starting to make a little bit more sense? And you might forget, just refer back to it. That's why it's really big up at the top. Okay, this one's going to go backwards. Do you see that they give us the balance? Lee invests a sum of money. We don't know what it is. Let's just call it P. We just don't know his principal. They did not tell it to us in this equation. It has a fixed annual interest rate of 7%, so that's going to go on the same. And it compounds 4 times a year after 13 years, and the balance is $16,169.39. Write that down if you haven't already. We are not finding how much the balance is. We are finding how much the principal is. How much did this person invest originally? How might we solve this? Yeah, Sawyer. That's a good thought because it's an inverse operation. I was trying to figure out like divide by P. I think I was trying to make it kind of complicated. So here's my suggestion. Stick this in your calculator and see what you get. And then we'll do inverse operations like Sawyer is suggesting. But I wouldn't start the inverse operations until you do all of that first. So please type in parentheses 1 plus fraction 0.07 over 4, closed fraction to the power of 4 times 13. Try all of that in your calculator. See what you get. And then I would not round, well, yeah, you can round. I would round to like 4 decimal places if you're in the middle of the problem. So put that in your calculator and see what happens. Get on top of it and push delete. There you go. So write that down. This is the last example we're doing in your notes. So if you're already tired of writing it down, revive your hand and write this one more down. And you just have to read them really carefully, or you're going to just keep putting it in for P. Right? You're going to stick this in for the principal instead of solving it backwards. Dax, what did you get when you plugged in 1 plus 0.07 divided by 4 all to the power of 4 times 13? What did you get? You didn't plug it in yet? Did you write it down? Did you write this down? Okay, plug this part in the red square into your calculator. We got to figure out what that is. Otherwise, the inverse operations are quite complicated, like Sawyer and I were trying to do. Hayden, what did you get when you plugged all that in? I got 6. What did I get? I got 2.4.
4, 6, 4.
Do you have it on there still? Oh, so you put this in for your principal. It's on the wrong side. So don't plug in this part of it. Just start from the parentheses over. Just the part I have in the red box. We get on autopilot. Okay, it sounds like the rest, some of you got it. 2.4648. Since we're right in the middle of the problem, don't round yet. Don't round too much yet. Is it going to be that hard to go back and put the 4.8? Okay, now Sawyer, how do I solve for P? How do I get the P by itself? What's the inverse operation? Yes. Yes. Okay, if you want your answer to be perfect, I'm going to show you something on your calculator. So, okay, I still have my answer. Is this my answer? No, this is the last one. 1 plus, I really don't like making fractions. 0.07. So if you haven't done it, this is going to give you time to catch up with me. To the power of 4. It's money, so at the very end, go to 2.
We're dividing right now.
Yes, but watch the board for just a second. I'm going to show you how you can make it perfect. Okay, do you have to all see how this is on your calculator? Hopefully yours is like this too. Okay, please watch the board while I do this. We are wanting to do 16,169.39. Okay, this is the part I need you all to watch, so don't look at your calculators. If you push divide, and then you push second, and then you come down here on enter, and you push enter, see how blue it says entry or something like that? What does that blue say on yours? It's going to, why did it do that? Let me try it again. Oh, it's the minus sign. I was looking for this answer. I can't read these. They're like so blurry. Okay, I'm trying it again. That'll do my demonstration. 16169.39 divided by, you push the second, and then this one that says answer. It's going to type in the whole previous answer. It doesn't round it at all. It will go all the way to the end without you having to retype it, so that you'll have the perfect answer. If those of you who rounded to 4 decimal places, did you get that exact answer, or did you get something a little bit different? What'd you get? Yeah, so if you round too early with these big numbers, it changes your answer pretty significantly. So I'm going to show you that again. I don't know if it'll work right here. If you want to save that previous answer, you want your calculator to remember it or use it again, you push second and then that minus sign, it says answer in blue. So I said, I want you to take this and I want you to divide it by my previous answer. And it'll do the whole, all those digits. 4, 6, 4, 8, 4, 5, 6, 6, 1. It'll do all of them for you. Okay. Oh, these classes are not long enough. Do you guys feel like they're just the right amount of longness? I want you to practice some on your own. You may need to leave your notes page handy in case your mind forgets what the heck you're doing. Let me stop the recording.